That night, the white walls of Grace and Mercy Medical Center glowed under the cold fluorescent lights. The only sound that lived within those walls was the soft rhythm of a breathing machine. Beep, beep, beep. Each pulse was a fragile heartbeat of faith, holding on to one last breath of a woman whose life had once carried an entire city. Her name was Mama Chidinma, Lagos's angel of compassion. The woman who once stood fearless during the great epidemic, saving hundreds when the city trembled with death. Her hands had stitched together the broken lungs of strangers, her prayers had carried dying souls back to life. But tonight, even her own breath had grown thin. Her lips were dry, her voice faint. Yet her smile, soft and unwavering, whispered a prayer of peace. All her life, she had believed. Every breath is sacred. Every heartbeat is a gift from God. But not everyone believed that anymore. For in the dim hallway outside the ICU, her only son, Dr. Toby Chidinma, walked with silent steps and cold intent. The light glinted off his glasses like two frozen shards. His white coat, once a symbol of healing, now carried the shadow of ambition. He stood over his mother's frail body, not with love, but with calculation. In that sterile room, where mercy once ruled, greed now took its first breath. Dr. Toby removed his gloves slowly. His eyes were steady, his breath calm, too calm. He looked at the machine that gave his mother life. The steady rise and fall of the oxygen meter reflected on his face like a clock counting down to sin. He whispered to himself, "Once she's gone, everything she built will be mine." He reached out. The machine hissed softly, and then fell silent. A faint tremor passed through the old woman's chest, and then, nothing. The world seemed to pause. Outside, rain began to fall over Lagos, tapping gently on the hospital windows. It was as though the heavens themselves were mourning. "In Africa," the narrator's voice echoed, "we believe that a mother is the soul of life. A man may betray the world, but never the woman who gave him his first breath. Yet tonight, you will witness something darker, a son who stole his mother's breath to buy power." Tell us where you're watching from: Lagos, Accra, Nairobi, Johannesburg, London, or New York. Comment below. I stand for mothers. Because this story, my brothers and sisters, is not just about crime. It is a warning that sometimes we kill the very person who kept us alive. The next morning, rain still fell over the city like a quiet lament. In his office on the 12th floor, Toby sat behind a desk covered in contracts and balance sheets. Wine glimmered in his glass. The numbers on the page were endless. But none of them were human. His phone rang. A voice from Dubai spoke smoothly. "Once your mother passes, Dr. Toby, every share will be yours. Then we expand: London, Dubai, Johannesburg. You will be a legend." Toby smiled, not with joy, but with hunger. "Sometimes," he whispered, "to save an empire, you must sacrifice a fragile soul." He forgot that fragile soul was his mother. Meanwhile, on the lower floors, Nurse Ada noticed the irregularities, the reduced oxygen flow, the stopped medication. She knew medicine. She knew lies. When she confronted him, her voice trembled with fury. "She's growing weaker, not stronger." Toby's voice was ice. "She's already too frail. Let her go, in peace." Ada's eyes burned. "Or let her go for your profit." He turned away. He couldn't bear the truth in her words. That night, Ada stayed behind. She recorded the oxygen levels, took photos, and sent a message to Pastor Daniel, Mama Chidinma's old friend. "Pastor, the mother who built this hospital is being betrayed in her own house. You must come, before it's too late." Days passed. Mama Chidinma slipped into a coma. Toby signed a do not resuscitate order. One cold signature. One death sentence. Nurse Ada turned on the hidden camera, tears glistening in her eyes. "If God cannot stop the hands of men," she whispered, "then truth will." The next morning, the hospital was wrapped in black ribbons. Toby walked through the halls in a black suit, face carved from stone. The media praised him as the heir to grace and mercy. But inside, he felt only emptiness, and the faint echo of his mother's breath. 3 days later, the memorial was held at St. Mary's Church. Pastor Daniel stood before the crowd. His voice thundered softly. "Today we mourn not only a mother, but we listen to the voice of justice." He raised his hand. A screen lit up behind him. Grainy footage appeared, the ICU, the pale light, Toby's silhouette. Then came the moment, his hand pulling the oxygen tube. The monitor screamed. Gasps filled the church. Toby leapt up. "Turn it off. Who gave you permission to show this?" Pastor Daniel's eyes burned with truth. No one gives permission for truth. It speaks for itself. The crowd erupted. Outside, the news spread like wildfire. #Justice for Mama Chidinma trended across Africa, from Ghana to Kenya, from South Africa to London. The son who stole breath for power had been exposed. That night, Toby fled into the storm. The city lights blurred through his windshield as he sped across the third mainland bridge. Rain lashed his face as he screamed into the night. "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to be free." But only thunder answered. He was arrested the next morning. In his pocket, police found a crumpled letter, his mother's handwriting. "Toby, if you are reading this, it means I am gone. I am not angry, only sad that I taught you to heal bodies, but forgot to teach you to guard your heart. You may inherit my wealth, but you will never buy back peace." Toby wept for the first time in years. He was sentenced to 20 years in Ikoyi prison. But even behind bars, something within him began to breathe again. He worked as a prison medic, treating sick inmates, saving lives during an outbreak. They began to call him the Doctor of Redemption. One journalist asked, "Do you regret what you did?" He smiled faintly. "I can't bring my mother back. But I can keep her breath alive in everyone I help to breathe again."